Hey guys, so I'm back with another video on Why So Serious channel. So this video is particularly the third part of our chapter analyzing and mapping networks. So in this video, we will be discussing about how you can examine your DNS using dig command, then how you can change your DNS server and how you can map your own IP addresses. Let me give you a quick summary about this. So using this these commands you can actually master your DNS analysis and learn how you can change your DNS server. These are some of the essential tools for ethical hackers and penetration testers. So without a further ado, let's get into the topic directly. So what actually is DNS server? So DNS stands for, let me type it really quick for you, domain name server. So what actually it is? So you cannot, it actually is to translate the domain name to the IP address. It actually translates domain name to IP addresses. Remember guys, whatever I am teaching is just for educational purpose. Me and my YouTube channel does not promote any illegal or unethical activities, and me and my YouTube channel won't be responsible for any illegal activity if you perform. So yeah, let's continue with the video. So this domain name server actually translate the domain name to the IP address. For example, let's say that there is this website called hackers-arise.com. This is the example website that today we will be using to try out the topics that I will be teaching you. So you can, so likewise there will be multiple websites which you will be surfing. So you cannot remember the IP address of each website. So that's why the internet has translated these IP addresses to the domain names. So now what DNS do, domain name server do is this actually simply convert this name of the website to the IP address on which this website is hosted. One of the useful command that most of the aspiring hackers and ethical hackers will be using to examine their DNS is dig command, dig command, which offers a way to gather information about a target domain, and this information will be DNS information. Domain name service information will be provided using dig command. The stored DNS information can be a key piece for the early reconnaissance to obtain before hacking or attacking. So before a malicious attacker or an ethical hacker also, if a penetration tester is trying to pen test an organization, this is the really initial step of the reconnaissance so that that particular ethical hacker can arrange the DNS information of their organization to attack or to get the idea of it. So this information could in what this information can include. The domain name server information can actually include the name server. What name server is? Name server is nothing but just the server that translate the target name to an IP address. Or this dig command can also be used to target the email servers and potentially any subdomain and IP address. So let's use this command. So for now we will be typing first dig command, then I will be typing hackers arise ns. So what this ns stands for in dig command? Ns stands for name server. Remember guys, I tell you every time, don't just grammar the short forms, know their name so that you can remember them really easily. And let me tell you right now only mx. What mx is actually? MX is nothing but the short form for mail exchange server, mail exchange server. So yeah, let's get into the practical portion now. So if I type this dig command on this hackers arise.com and then I type ns and if I press enter, then you can see that this is the answer section. This is the answer that I am getting right now. So this is ns, this is the name server. So these two are the name servers of the hackerarise.com website. Okay, and the additional information, the name server, the name server is having this IP address. The ns6 Wix DNS.net is having this IP address, and NS7 Wix DNS is having this one IP address. So this is how you can get the name server. And now moving on, this additional section actually reveals the IP address of the DNS server, which is hosted by which is hosted by the hackerarise.com website. Now I will show you how you can get more information about email server that are connected to the domain name. Okay, so now we will be simply just typing mx instead of ns. So mx, as I told you already, stands for mail exchange server. Now we'll be getting the information about mail exchange server. As you can see, we have this answer section, and in this answer section there is mx written everywhere. So this mx actually stands for mail server, and this is the 1 2 3 4 5. So these five are the mail exchange server that hackerarise.com is using, and these are the name server. And this addition section includes the IP address of the name server. Okay, so sometimes it will be including the IP address of mail exchange server and sometimes it won't be. So there are more into it. You can actually go and type manual command also. So this is the really basic section of the DNS dig command which you can look up to. Now the most common Linux DNS server is the Berkeley Internet domain name. The Berkeley Internet domain name is BIND. Let me type it really quick for you. So what it is, BIND. So don't get confused by it. Sometimes the people, just let me type it really quick. Okay, it's Berkeley Internet name domain. So what actually it is, this is nothing but same as Linux DNS server. In most of the cases, Linux user will be referring to DNS as BIND. So it's nothing to confuse about. Both DNS and BIND have the same property to change the domain, to transfer the domain name to the IP address. Okay. Now we will look at you can change your how you can change your DNS server. So what actually DNS servers do? The DNS server will actually, if you go into your Linux machine or your Windows or Mac OS, if you see the properties, then I told you in my earlier video how DHCP works, Dynamic Host Control Protocol, configuration protocol works. It actually uh, assign you an IP address, and it also assigns you the domain name server. So domain name server, it assigns you, and whenever you visit a website, the request to access that website is sent to your ISP, Internet Service Provider. So after the request is sent to your ISP, then you get that then that request is accepted, and then in reply you see the website in your screen. So what is happening, nothing is transparent with you. What actually is happening is, whether you are going to facebook.com, whatsapp.com, or any website you name, the first step is the request will be sent to your ISP, and from that ISP it will generate a IP address and then give it back to you. So your data is revealed already, and your ISP is knowing what you are surfing. So in order to prevent this, you actually change your DNS server. Now, the main thing that happens sometimes is, when you are you can change your DNS server. Sometimes what happens if you change your DNS server, there are some open servers also like Open DNS and Google DNS. What will be happening, instead of going, your request won't be going to your ISP, but then it will be redirected to, let's say for example, if you are using Google DNS, public Google DNS if you are using, then your request to access that website will be sent to the Google DNS, and that from that will be from that DNS server, Google DNS, it will be sent to the ISP, to your local ISP which is nearest to you, and from that only that request then answer will be sent to the Google DNS, and from that Google DNS it will be coming to you. So that's how your DNS, your ISP provider, internet service provider, your ISP won't be knowing that what website or what are you doing on your laptop or your desktop. This helps to maintain privacy and anonymity on internet, and this is really useful for ethical hackers and penetration testers also. Moving on, what DNS server actually provides to you apart from maintaining the anonymity? You can actually change, or but sometimes what will be happening is that the IP address that you are receiving from your DHCP. I told you in my earlier videos also that DHCP will be providing you the IP address, but it also will be providing you the DNS settings with the IP address. So what will happening is it will automatically configure your DNS server by by the DHCP's IP address choice only. For example, if you have written your DNS, if you have configured your DNS server as Google DNS, then the DHCP server can override this configuration with its provided DNS setting every time the device renew its new IP address. If you are if you are getting the new IP address, then your DHCP server will actually overwrite the configuration of DNS server that you have written. Let's say, for example, DHCP server assigns you any IP address, any IP address with the DNS setting itself, which might be your router's DNS only. So now, if you manually set your DNS server, the next time the DHCP will be renewing, and this DHCP renewal happens periodically and automatically, it will highly likely overwrite your custom DNS setting. Why this happens is because the DHCP is designed to automate network configuration, including DNS, to maintain consistency across devices on the network. So it will be like actually maintaining the devices consistency. What I mean to say is, now this manual changing to DNS settings can override to ensure compliance with network policies. But you can prevent this from happening. You can set your own DNS without actually getting your DNS overwritten regularly. What you can do is you can go in your Windows or Linux machine and you can set a static IP address. If you configure a static IP address and specify the custom domain name server, then this will bypass the DHCP server and DHCP entirely. Now the DHCP is not automatic. You are not getting assigned your IP address automatically. You have maintained your IP address static. You have chosen your IP address, and then you can specify your own DNS server so that it won't be going to your ISP, it will be going to that particular DNS, and your anonymity and privacy will be maintained. Or what you can do is you can override the DHCP and DNS settings on some device. You can set DNS settings manually and then make them persistent also. Even when you are using the DHCP, if you are you don't have to bypass it also. For example, some of the certain operating systems allow you to do so, and if you are having your own, if you are in control of DHCP server, then you can change it directly. I hope that you must have understood the things that I have told you. So this operating system that actually supports this custom DNS with DHCP are Windows, Linux and Mac OS also. You can do it on your mobiles also like Android, but it should be better version like 9 plus or something, and iOS also. For example, guys, let's take example that PUBG was banned in many portions of the world. So what people used to do? The people simply used to change their DNS server, then they can access. Why? Because your ISP have blocked. But if you are using some public DNS server, then your request will be going to that particular server, and then you must have played PUBG. So this is the really basic and best example that I can give you. So let me show you practical now. But before moving on to practical, let me tell you guys that if you are having trouble in understanding this much DNS and DHCP, don't worry. For now, you can simply understand that how you can change your DNS server, and just understand that instead of going to your ISP, your request will be going to the DNS which you have set, so that you can be anonymous and you can actually try to maintain anonymity and privacy on internet. That's it for now. You can understand this particular portion. If you want to know more, stay tuned. In my upcoming videos, I also will be telling you about networking also, so don't worry about anything else. I will be making sure that you understand each and everything from the fundamentals. So let's move on. Let me clear out my screen really quick. So now how we can change it. So there is this one file in the Linux called resolv.conf. You can open in any text editor. I personally like to use Nano. You can use Leafpad also, or you can use any other text editor of your own choice. So if I type this resolve, then you can see that I am having this particular search local domain and the name server as this. This is generated by network manager. You can particularly see this on my screen. Okay, so now what is happening? You can see on the line 3 that my my requests are sending to the local DNS server. This work fine, but if I want to add or replace the DNS server, let's say if I want to replace it with Google DNS server, what I can do is I can simply type name server, then I can type 8.8.8.8. This is the Google DNS Google's public DNS, and then I can simply save it. Okay, so I have not opened this in sudo. Remember, you have to, whatever you do, such kind of things. Let me make my screen little bit large so that you can understand. Okay, so this is little bit yeah, now it's fine. So now let's say you have to type first sudo, and then only you can. So instead you can either do two things. You can hash it also. Okay. You can give more resources to your system, guys. I have not given, that's why this lag is happening, but it won't happen in your case if you give your system proper resources. Let me just quickly comment this name server. And after doing that, you can type your name server like 8.8.8.8. Now my traffic, whatever I will be requesting, my traffic will be redirecting to this name server instead of to the name server which I have commented right now. This is how you can perform it. You can type multiple name servers also. N number of mail servers you can type. How much you type, the more anonymous you will be, the more privacy you can maintain on the internet, because then it will be hopping. But yeah, remember, it will be taking more time. This is how you do this. You can actually do this also using echo command. Like if you type echo and then use name server 8.8.8.8, and I have told you earlier also, if you do this, it will directly override my file. So I don't want to do that. So I just told you how you can do this. Okay. So let's now, if you open, you should see that Now if I open my file, I already told you that I am having this domain name now, sorry, DNS server, Google public DNS server. Whatever now I will make a request, it will go to the Google DNS server rather than to to my local DNS server. This will also help, like your system will now go out to the Google DNS server to resolve domain name to IP. This might take a little bit longer, probably millisecond, if not nano. So this is how you can do this. Now, I would like to tell you that if you are using a DHCP address and the DHCP, I have told you earlier also, but I am still telling you that if you are using a DHCP address and then the DHCP server provides a DNS setting. So DHCP server will actually replace the content of the file if when the renewal of DNS server happens. Now let's move on to the final and the last topic of today's video, that is mapping your own IP address. So what is actually mapping your own IP address? You will look into it. So there is a specific file in your Linux system that is called host file. This host file also performs the domain name to IP address translation. Now this file is located, it is located in etc host. Okay, so now, and it is a kind of DNS, not exactly DNS, but it is a kind of as with DNS. Now you can specify your own IP address or domain name mapping. What I mean is that you can determine which IP address your browser goes to when you are entering your website in the browser rather than let your DNS server decide. So it actually, what this actually is doing is that when you are visiting a domain name in your browser, for example, hackerarise.com or Facebook or any website or google.com, this is the domain name that you are typing in a browser, right? Then the system will check for that host file before consulting the DNS server. That system will check it, that what IP address is written in the host file before it goes to the DNS server. Now, in our case, let's, for example, a malicious actor can modify the host file and it can redirect the traffic from a legitimate website to the malicious server. For example, there is this website, like for example, we take in hackerarrange.com. Let's say that if I modify my host file and I redirect the traffic from that website to redirect that traffic from a legitimate website to a malicious server, because what is happening? First of all, before checking my DNS server, the system is checking my host file for the IP address. If I am not having a IP address or anything, then automatically, if I'm not having the IP address in the host file, then it will be assigning automatically. Now, the tools like DNS spoof can automate this redirection of the network to hijack connections and deceive the user. This can be used for hijacking TCP connections or your LAN network, which can host the malicious web server. So now you understand there is this tools called DNS spoof also, which can help you in doing that. Let's move on. I will be telling you about those tools later on in my upcoming portion. So this particular playlist I have created for Linux only. So I will be sticking to the portion that are important for a beginner hacker to learn in Linux. So now I will use Nano only. So if as you can see, I only having in this file, I am only having these two portions only. One is uh, localhost and another is Kali Linux host that you can easily see. But now if I, for example, if I add any of the uh, IP address to any domain, I can add that also. I can simply type any IP address like 192.168.4.1. Then don't press space bar, always press tab in this, and then you can type, let's say, hacker-arise.com. The IP address is not true, only the website is. So now what will be happening is that As you get more this is how you can do this, but as you get more into your hacking journey, you will learn more about tools like DNS spoof and ethercap. So you will be able, by using those tools, you will be able to actually use the host file to direct any traffic on your LAN that visit hackerarrays.com to your web server. So on your LAN, whatever connection you are having on your LAN. So these type of tools will help you to redirect the website to your server only. For example, if you are using some banking, if for example, if you are connected to particular website, let's say if you are connected to a local network, and in local network there are 5 people in your network, and you have typed your IP address, your own server IP address, and then you have written hackerarise.com. So now whosoever is connected to your network, to the network to which you are connected, and whosoever person will be accessing hackerarise.com, that person will not be getting to hackerarise.com. He or she will be getting to the web server of which IP address you have mentioned here. So this is how you can change it. Rest I will leave it up to you. These are the basic fundamentals that I'm trying to teach you guys. You are smart enough, so you have to little bit figure it out. I have given you the hint already how you can maintain your privacy online. So I know that this video has been a little long, but yeah, I have to tell you everything, each and every portion, so that it can be beneficial for you also. So without wasting any time, stay tuned, guys. This is the end of the chapter 3. So in my next video, I will be telling you about chapter 4, and that will be about how you can add and remove the software. And in the description below, I will be giving you some of the exercises that you can perform, so that you can get an actual practical idea how you can do these things which I have told you in my chapter 3. Make sure to do these exercises, guys. It will be beneficial for you only, and then you can actually know what is happening in the network. Till then, goodbye, stay tuned, and subscribe and like to my channel.